Hey folks, it's just me, and for those of you that don't know, I will say my name. My name is Walter B. Shepherd. And so I don't usually say my name on video. I'm pretty much a shy person in real life. I'm not really comfortable in front of the camera, but I've gotten used to it over the past couple of years, and I will do it out of my service to the Lord, and for the benefit of the listeners here on this channel. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all you subscribers that have been around for years, and thank you to all you new subscribers. I hope that the Lord is blessing you with what I believe He's pouring through me. Anyway, encouragement. Yes, this is an encouragement. It's also kind of scary too, but it's also very encouraging. Personally, I believe that right now the world, the church, the body of Christ, we're already in the tribulation period. But we haven't yet reached the Great Tribulation. The Great Tribulation, where all the bowls and the trumpets and the wrath and the seals are all poured out on a God-hating mankind. That hasn't happened yet. We're not part of the Great Tribulation, and the majority of believers won't be experiencing the Great Tribulation. It'll only be those believers that are left behind. They will experience the sights and sounds of the Great Tribulation, but they won't be a part of it. Because if you read the book of Revelation, you will see things like when the sores are broken out on the people, it doesn't affect those with the seal of God on their head. When the locusts are released from the abyss, it bothers everybody else, but it doesn't but it doesn't bother the believers, those with the seal of God in their head. So those who are left behind will experience the sights and sounds of the Great Tribulation, but they won't be a part of it. The only part of the Great Tribulation that they'll be experiencing is the abuse, the torturings, the beheadings, and the burning alive. But that's also why I believe we are also in the tribulation period as such, because as you know, over the past several years, and especially over the past year, since we are now still in the blood moon phase, we still have one more blood moon to go through, and that's going to happen in October. But over the past couple of years, we've been seeing the waters turning blood red. So we know that's a part of the tribulation that's happening, and we know that our fellow servants all over the world are also experiencing their beheadings and experiencing burning to death. It's a sad thing that the body has to experience, but it's all part of Bible prophecy, and it's all part of God's plan. And their suffering is only momentary. But after that, once they've left the body, once they've left their physical body, then they're in the presence of the Lord. So they will never experience pain or suffering ever again. And I pray, and I'm quite sure that the body of believers, you wise virgins out there, will get to avoid some of the abuse and some of the horrors that some of the body has to experience. Because the Lord will be coming back sooner rather than later. And that's basically what I want to talk about right now, is what I believe will be the timeline for the eventual rapture. And it will happen sooner or later. And I believe it will happen sooner rather than later. So what I believe is going to happen right now, it's just the beginning of July. We're in the first week of July. And we've all heard about, or most of us have heard about, this coming asteroid prophesied by Ephraim, the prophet Ephraim, talking about the Puerto Rico asteroid. And if you've not heard about this, do a search on YouTube and you'll see lots of videos, and you'll come across his particular video prophesying the asteroid that's supposed to hit Puerto Rico sometime between now and the end of the year. We have no idea when, but we know that something like that is going to happen. And now, the particular timeline. Everybody is expecting something to happen in September. The Shemitah calendar, I believe it is, says that something that or we suspect something is going to happen that's going to line up in conjunction with the Jewish festivals. The Shemitah calendar, whatever it is. I personally don't know a whole lot about the Jewish festivals. I just know what I've heard on YouTube from other people who've uploaded it and mentioned it. But it's not been my calling to delve deeply into the Jewish festivals and to find out if they line up with the Christian prophecy regarding the rapture and the end times and whatnot. But I've always felt in my heart that something is going to happen in September. And personally, what I believe is going to happen is I believe that there will be that Puerto Rico event, but I can't say for sure whether it's going to be an actual asteroid that hits, or if it's going to be one of the one-worlders and their thermonuclear device, their nuclear detonation in order to create a tsunami. And then in the news the next day you will hear them say that it's an asteroid. Even though it wasn't really an asteroid, they will claim that it's an asteroid. But it's in fact, it's something that they created themselves. So that could be what causes the 3 days of darkness. And again, for me, I've only heard about this 3 days of darkness over the past year. Before that, I'd heard about it on movies and TV shows, but I haven't come across the verse in the Bible, and maybe somebody could post it in the comment section below. Post the Bible verse where it talks about the 3 days of darkness. So I've just heard about it from the mouths of other believers. But I don't discount that, and I don't say that it's not going to happen. Based on all the prophecies that I've heard over the past year, especially the past year, I believe that there is going to be some sort of event this September that will affect the entire world. Whether it's an actual asteroid fall, or whether it's the one-worlder setting off a nuclear device creating tsunami, which in turn creates the 3 days of darkness. If it is an asteroid fall, I believe an actual asteroid fall would create an ash cloud or a canopy over top of the entire planet that will create the 3 days of darkness. It'll be some sort of event that affects the atmosphere, that blocks out the sun for at least 3 days. I believe that will happen. And I believe out of that, it'll be because of the 3 days of darkness that the one-worlders will finally say, oh good, we can start our global plan of martial law. And I believe when the 3 days of darkness does happen, that the one-worlders will say, oh, finally, we've got the global event, and finally we can get things going. So martial law will be declared all over the entire world for the safety of the public. And it will be because they are taking control of the entire planet. That's when, on the American side, whereas Obama is concerned, and personally I don't believe Obama is the Antichrist, but I believe he is one of the global figures that will help usher in the Antichrist. He is there to help make the way for the actual Antichrist. And the Antichrist will show up sometime around the event of the 3 days of darkness. It will be because of the 3 days of darkness that they will institute the martial law, that the global currency will all change. It will affect finances all over the world. It will affect food supplies all over the world. And it will affect peace all over the world. A lot of people will be scared. A lot of countries will be scared. And it will be because of 3 days of darkness that I believe that is when the Antichrist will step onto the global stage. And he will be the one with the answers. He will be the one saying, oh yeah, we can make peace. We can bring prosperity back to the world. We just have to change the monetary system. We just have to let the military police do their job. And we just have to let all politics and all global governments come together as one, under one common flag. So I believe out of the 3 days of darkness, the Antichrist will step onto the stage, and as you know, as the Bible tells us, that that's when the man of perdition, that's when he steps on the stage, and that's when the rapture happens. I believe the rapture is going to happen sometime before, during, or shortly after the Antichrist steps onto the world stage. And that will happen at this 3 days of darkness. And that's that. So around September, things can possibly change. But at the same time, we all know that the Bible tells us that the Lord is going to, he's going to come in the clouds, and it'll be at a time when we least expect it. The story of the wise virgins is you have to keep waiting, because we don't know when the bridegroom is going to show up. We just know that he will show up at a time when we least expect it. So if we're expecting it around September, well, that's just it. We're expecting it in September, right? And he's going to show up at a time when we least expect it. So I believe the rapture could happen anytime between now, tomorrow, next week, even a year from now. We have no idea exactly when, but we just have to keep ready. So stay encouraged. Eventually, the Lord is going to be here sooner rather than later, and I believe, personally, things are going to change around September, change globally around September, which could lead the way for the Antichrist to step onto the world stage, and it'll be around that time, before or after that Jesus comes back for his bride. And again, because we're expecting it, it could come before that. It could be Jesus could be here sometime in July, sometime in August, sometime in September, or maybe in October. But again, personally, based on all the dreams that I've had and the visions that I've seen, the one warning dream that I had is the world was getting back on its feet in terms of everybody accepting the number. In that particular dream, that took place in winter. Everybody, the world had just gotten back on its feet. The rapture had been over for some time, and the world was just getting back together economically and as a whole. And people were encouraging and almost forcing each other to take the number, and that took place in wintertime. And personally, I believe that it will take at least 2 months, 2 to 3 months, for the world to get back on its feet after the rapture. Because after the rapture happens, there's going to be disasters all over the place. There's going to be chaos, global chaos, and it'll take a while for the world to get back onto its feet. So personally, I've always felt that the rapture is going to happen around September, which gives them 2 months to get back on their feet, which means by the time December gets here and the winter snows, that's when people are going to be saying, "Oh, you got to take the number. You got to take the number." So I'm not saying I'm not date setting. I'm just expressing my views based on everything that I've been shown and everything that I've learned from the body of believers on YouTube and elsewhere, and based on the things that I've seen in dreams and visions. So I will end off with a couple of drawings of the Rapture Dream that I have. If you go back into my posts, it was about this time last year, or around there. No, it was around December. Yeah, holy cow, it's been that. It was December that I had my Rapture Dream. And in my Rapture Dream, it was a warm summer's night, and the skies were gray. And then that's when I heard these sounds of jets flying over. They sounded like jets, but they weren't exactly jets. I've prayed about it since then, and I believe what they were is they were pillars of smoke that the Lord was sending out ahead of the rapture cloud, ahead of the main body of raptured people who were already in the air. These pillars of smoke were like forewarnings to the people, because as I stated before in my last encouragement video, is that the rapture cloud starts over top of Jerusalem, so that the first people that are raised from the dead will be the likes of Adam, Eve, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, all those people in the Old Testament. They will be the first to rise from the dead once they get their raptured body. And then it will flow, the cloud will flow westward. So it'll go over top of Africa and Asia, make its way around eventually to North America. So eventually 45 minutes, half an hour after you hear the trumpet and after you hear the voice of the Archangel Michael calling, then you will know you have at least half an hour. If you're in North America listening to this, you'll have at least half an hour to get ready and to talk to the people around you before the rapture cloud gets to you, before your body changes. Or everybody's body could change instantly at the same time, and you're just waiting around, talking to people in your raptured body, waiting for the cloud to pass by and for you to rise up into it. But anyway, I'll quickly end off with the drawings. Those pillars of clouds that I saw in the Rapture Dream, they were all flowing overhead, and there was a whole bunch of them. And as you can see, the cloud flying, these pillars of smoke, they look like jet streams, but they also look like whirlwinds, like tornadoes. But the front of them were glowing, and there was just clouds, and they flew inside the clouds, so they lit up the clouds as they flew by. And then in that same dream, I looked down the street. I was standing on the front lawn, and I could see the other people on the street. They were all running around. All these people are running around saying, "It's the rapture, it's the rapture." And these sparklings, these things, they were flying all over the place, going in and out of the houses and all around. They were just checking the place out. And I've mentioned what those sparklings were. And if you want to see hear more detail, check back in my past videos. Dream of the rapture cloud, visions of the rapture cloud. And finally, in my rapture dream, I looked over towards the mountains because I live in Calgary, Alberta. And so the Rocky Mountains are about 2 hours west of us. And I could see over top the mountains, over top the city, I could see Jesus himself coming, arriving with everybody else. And these pillars of clouds, these pillars of smoke, they were just flowing everywhere. Just flying all over. And these sparklings too, they were just zipping in and around all over the place. And Jesus himself in the dream was getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And so those are some of the drawings of the Rapture Dream. I have other drawings of the Rapture Dream, but those drawings were taken away. The whole sketchbook was taken away by circumstances beyond my control. So I will have to recreate those other drawings of the Rapture Cloud visions that I've had. Or you can go back in the past videos and you can check them out there because they are on video. So anyway, that's that. I believe we're in the tribulation period, yes, but we're not part of the Great Tribulation. I still believe in the pre-tribulation rapturing of the church, but the Great Tribulation is the pre-trib that we've all been talking and thinking about. So we're going to be raptured before the world gets totally horrible. So please keep praying for your friends and your family and your neighbors and your loved ones and your relatives, that the Lord will speak to their hearts and their minds, give them a spirit of wisdom and revelation, that they may get to know the Lord, and that they will get their own rapture dream, they will get their own rapture vision to encourage them also to get right with the Lord. So we just got to keep praying to the Lord that He will increase the number of those taken in order to minimize the number of those left behind. Because those left behind are going to have to go through some horrible times. So we just pray to the Lord that He maximizes those raptured and minimizes those left behind. So anyhow, pretty soon we're all going to look up and we're all going to see Jesus in the clouds coming for us while our bodies are being changed. So that's it. Take care wherever you are. Stay in prayer. Just be a help out there in the world. Pray for those people that you know. And just be a blessing wherever you are in internet land and YouTube world. Take care, stay in prayer. We'll see you in Jesus' kingdom somewhere over there, or maybe even somewhere up in the air. Okay, talk to you later. Jesus rules.